to. So it is emotionally taxing to find something to place there, to be dripping, drooling, crying on stage, for the believability to touch somebody in the audience. It is taxing, and people don't really understand what actors go through to give you that. But it sucks even more when the director says, okay, that was great. Can you change this and do it again? No. I gave you your Viola Davis bubbles on the floor. Like, I can't. But as an actor, you do have to suck it up because you might not have just one show. You got a whole weekend. You got 2 weekends, whatever the case may be. So speaking on believability from an actor standpoint, it literally is by any means necessary based on the technique that you use. If you're just emoting, no, it's not believable. If you're not really crying, and so it depends on the artist. If you're not really crying, you might not get the same response as somebody who really is pouring blood, sweat, and tears on the floor. So that's what you want to go for performance-wise. You want to be able to translate so well that it is real, not emote and kind of give off the vibe of a cry. If we're going to use crying, give off the portrayal of a cry versus a real cry. Like, which would you prefer as a artist? Would you prefer to see somebody actually go there, or you want to see somebody acting like they go there?
Any other questions? Questions? Yes. One. Well, two. Everyone all the cast has purchased my book, which was super, super blessing to me. And before they come on set, they always ask me, I need to talk to you, because they really want to know where the motion's at. And I just like to say to Simone and Fahim, the set prior to last week, they hit the points that I broke down on set. It seemed like everybody just zapped out the oxygen, and I was getting ready to reach for Jacquie, but I couldn't. And so Randall had grabbed me and taken me off set. And so I just want to say, I see the importance on how it is that you really play that particular person. And so last week, the cast that came on set played my son and daughter. And so after the week shooting, I posted on Facebook, and my daughter called me that night and she said, Mom. I said, yeah. She said, was that me? I said, yes. She said, oh my God, I had to shut it down. And the young lady who played my daughter was really in tears because my son not my son, I'm sorry, my beloved had requested to talk to my son and daughter alone to give them the goodbye talk, because his request was not to tell anyone that he was sick, and so I worked with him through his illness for 18 months and no one knew. And so it was a struggle. It was very, very, very hard. And so when Randall took on this project, he says, I need you by my side. I need to know where the emotions are coming. I need to know what you're thinking. And I did not realize it was going to be this difficult emotionally, but it really, really, really is. And so when it was time to give the goodbye talk, when my husband gave it to me, Fahim and Simone, I mean, they just brought it right back to real life. And it does. It really zaps out the oxygen. So my question to the panel is, in my movie, I'm going to be opening and closing. I've never acted before in my life. And so, but I do know how to be me, but I don't know how to act out me. So what do you suggest? Because the beginning of the movie, I'm writing the book, and it was a 3-year hard write. So I was struggling. And at the end of the movie, I'm standing at the ocean, and I'm releasing. I'm free. I understand now the meaning of life and death. And so, again, the question is, I know me, I know how to be me, but I'm not sure if I'm going to know how to act me. Mm-hmm. So what is any advice or suggestions?
Such as, I can't wait to read the book.
Right.
I'm like excited. The story sounds so touching. I'm not going to be long. Your story is a little different compared to, because it is about you and your life. It's personal from jump, okay? Anyone that gets into it is going to go down the same street because it's touching, it's appealing, but it's personal. My advice to you, if I was even directing this film, is you don't have a choice but to be you. In a situation like this, if someone was acting as you, as I believe Simone is in the film, at that time as a director, putting the puzzle together for her to be you is where I will focus a lot of my energy on, so we can bring out, what's your name? Rita, to the best of our ability. Right, Simone?
Yes, sir.
But Rita, at this point, when you're writing in the beginning, and when you're at the ocean at the end, you could only be you, okay? And when I say you can only be you, you're not even acting, because you've already lived it, okay? If a director is now trying to show you how you, not in this situation, I don't know if my panel will want to release it to them, but you can only, in this part, because of the type of story it is, be you. Just be you. Piece of advice, use a mirror. Mirror is your best, the mirror is your best friend right now. The mirror is your best friend. That's just from a director's perspective. A little bit I'll give you on that, just mirror. But you could only be you, obviously.
Thank you.
No, I
That's
totally
it.
agree. Because as a director, you trying to get people to become people, you know, but you are that person.
Right.
So what better person to play you than you,
Amen.
you know? And, you know, we try to get actors not to act, but react, you know, to what's going on. And you, like he just said, you already lived it. So you just gotta be you and be like whatever you're feeling, let the camera capture that, because it's real. You know, it's gonna be tough to live it again, but it's real. But that's what you gotta do, because that's what all actors are trying to do. You know.
I'm a little biased because I'm AD on this film, but I know that, and I'm speaking with all confidence, that initially when the camera's on you, you're probably gonna feel a little self-conscious. And when we start, when you hear, yell, act one scene, whatever, take, you're gonna be a little self-conscious. But I am confident that as you go through even if you're sitting down in the scenes when you're writing in your journal, I am confident that when you're doing that, you are going to be transported back to that moment. Because even while we're filming and you're not acting, you're transported, okay? And even when we have to take our breaks, those are very real, poignant moments of you being transported back. So I have no doubt that in that moment, maybe the first couple of seconds, you know, you're going to be self-conscious because that eye is on you. But as you write, and I mean really write, you know, don't pretend to write. When you write it right, you're going to be transported and you're going to be in the moment because it is your moment. And when you're by the ocean, that is your moment. You know, it may have been your moment years ago, but it's still yours. And you will no doubt be transported and stand firmly in that when the time comes. I don't think you have anything to worry about.
Thank you.
I have a question. I want to know, just asking, as film writers, stage playwrights, or what have you, is it harder to get started or to keep going?
Oh, that's great.
It's harder to keep going.
Yeah.
You know, but what, you know,
It's harder to keep going.
What, you know, that you had to go through to really decide, okay, start from here, what do I do?
Which aspect? The actual writing, say you have a story
Just
idea
getting
to write?
started, yes, if you, or, and the second part is how do you come up with what you decide to write? But how, is it harder for you to get started on it or to keep going?
For me, did you want to take it? Well, I can.
I think it's tough on both sides because building up the confidence, because most people, if you haven't done anything, even if you got degrees in it, but if you haven't physically done it yet, it's scary, and because you start judging yourself, and I don't like this is tough. And you start all this self-doubt getting in, and not including all the bad stuff that you already witnessed. So you think, damn, that might be me.
Right.
So all that's going through your head at the same time. But once you build up the courage enough to do it, you're off to the races. But when you get in the pool, damn, that's a really good damn question.
That's really.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, do you want to take this first? For me, the creative process is I don't care whether it's a song, like you said, that inspired that entire play that you sold out, or if it's a thought, or if it's something that you see or a picture, whatever the inspiration and that impetus is. To me, it's easy to start, but then I've exhausted the impetus. And it's like, whoo, I'm glad I got that out, that one page. All right, that page is great. So, it's harder for me to keep going. I have to put myself on I'm going to have this done by. I'm going to have Act 1 done by. Act 2, that's the longest act. And for, I don't know about anybody, I teach my students, Act 2 is the hardest act to get through. Because it's your conflict act. So you have to add in all of the trials and tribulations and the hurdles and everything that they're going to go through. Your Act 1 is your introduction act, but your Act 2 is when the meat of it happens. And most writers get lost in Act 2 because they don't know how to get out of it. And they don't know how to
Never would have
right. So you get in the middle of Act 2 and it's like, I'm going to put this down for right now. I'm going to come back in an hour, and then a year later, you're still stuck in Act 2, right? So and when I teach, I give methods to get in, get out, and get through it. But even for me, how honest can I be? Even for me, though I teach it, I have 3 screenplays, I have 3 stage plays. Some are waiting, they're percolating because they're done. They're done. They're just on the shelf ready for the right time. The other ones have been done, they've been shot, they've been performed, the whole thing. But even with me, I can get into that, okay, I got that first inspiration out. Act 1, whatever, done, right? Act 2, okay, how do I work this through? And I have to put myself on a schedule to make it happen, right? Because that's the discipline part of it, right? Right, so the inspiration part, this field is so creative, right? So being inspired is not hard, but it's being disciplined to get to the end. That's the harder part. And you just have to have a method to discipline yourself, and that's it. That's for me.
It's a very good question.
I had a lot of encouragement.
And I have a question. Piggyback, because we talk about all the stuff that's floating around in my head. I got books, I got movies, I got everything going on. How I sort out what to do. You're talking about scene, getting stuck on scene 1. I'm stuck on which to do now. Do I do the book? Do I do the film? Do I do the play? What?
Yeah, you just come to a point where you have all the stuff in your head and you just decide, I know all this is important, I'm gonna focus on this one. You just pick one, focus on it. Like Simone is known, I teach the 8 action point method, right? And so before you even write your play, your film, whatever it is, you just outline it in 8 action points. This is my beginning, this is my middle, this is my end. This is what is going to happen in my middle. I don't have all the scenes flushed out, I don't even have the dialogue, but this is where I'm going, okay? This is where I'm going to start, and this is where I end. And if you know that, once you start writing towards those, it's like connecting the dots. Once you start writing towards those points, the scenes come, the dialogue comes, but you just have to, the discipline, pick whichever one you're going to do, and just do 8 action points. We can talk about it later, and we just write the 8 action points. That's all you need to do.
Okay.
even if you wanna write them and sit them on the shelf and we'll come back a week later, they're not gonna say, right from this action point, from action point 1 to action point 2, show me in 3 days. I can help you with it.
We'll never know. What I would suggest to decide is your budget.
Ooh.
What that is.
Yeah.
You understand, like your budget, which one is here right now that I can make this happen? Do I have money to, or not even just money, do I have enough resources to get a film done? Do I have the resources to get a short done? Do I have resources to get a stage production done? How big, how small, and all that. So
That's good.
that should help you determine which one to do first.
Speaking to the question of which is harder, starting or continuing, I have the continuity issue. I have a continuing issue. I can start it all day. That title page, bomb.com.
Yes, title
At the
page.
bottom. But I don't do the 8-point method. I realized I wanted to write when I was 5, and I realized I could tell a complete lie. Okay, beginning, middle, end. My lies would be flawless. Okay, and it was so good, I believe it. Okay. I used to be that kid, you know, when you mess up and you try to, all right, how I'm gonna cover this up before mom and dad get home, or how I'm gonna cover this up so I don't get a whooping. Like, how do we fix this, right? So when I was writing my play, I started it before I got into a relationship with somebody. That relationship was 5 years, didn't touch it after that. Okay, so I started, the title page was great, that first scene was great. It was just sitting. One, I don't think that it was time to finish it because I had to go through some things before I could actually put it on paper.
That's me.
I had to, it was a five-year season, not gonna lie. And I'm still young, so I was still kind of learning. So there will be a point where you start, I got this great idea. Now what? You will have a now what, and the now what is a learning curve to fill in the pages. So it will be harder to finish than it is to actually start for some people. That's just me.
What's your name?
Regina.
Regina. You gotta be careful. You got a very good point here with the budget thing. You wanna watch that, because that will help you.
Yeah.
It's great to have the ideas. I'm sure we all have ideas. I'm sure we all can come together and do great things. You don't want to become a hoarder. Okay? Your storage space is here, right? You got play, movie, all books, this, and then what starts, I see this happen to so many people. And you have great ideas, but you're writing 2 plays and a movie at the same time?
Yeah.
Okay? You don't want to fill up the storage space. So, key point from my friend here, she talked about Sheldon. Sometimes you can put something up and just put it to the side and focus on one thing. Key thing that Gill told you, budget. Take a look at what it is that you're doing, like the young lady who's doing a book. I'm sure she has other projects. Start to prioritize what it is. You're in the same field, okay? And I'm sure you'll be great. But pick one, all right? And nurse that baby, okay? Some of us could have twins, okay? But some of us is just one. Okay? Grow that one, then have another one. But prioritize. Don't get clustered, because then you're just a hoarder.
Yeah.
Okay? And you know what hoarding is. You can't go anywhere. I hope that helps.
Absolutely.
So how do you get from local to that New York stage? How does an actor focus their direction to get there?
Buy that ticket and go.
And not trained planner,
You,
but how, as an actor, they want to be, I want to go to New York. Where do I start? What is important as an actor? Is it being on time, headshots, monologues, presentation? how many, do I have to do 5 theater films? Do I have to do, theater stage plays? Do I have to do 2 films? How do I get to, my focus is getting to New York. How do you do that?
My personal opinion, I think, is just putting in the work wherever you are. I don't think, those New York markets and LA markets are huge, but a lot of people, like, I lived in LA for 6.5 years, and I say it all the time, it's one of the most inspiring cities, but one of the most depressing cities at the same exact time, because I saw so many actors move to LA, but they're not ready for LA. Like, what I mean by that is sometimes you gotta realize when you're jumping in that pool, that's where the real sharks are. Like, that's where you gotta really be ready in reference to not even just skill set, but your confidence level gotta be up here, because they gonna chew you up and spit you out like it's nothing. I'm pretty, it's the same in New York. So a lot of people want to get there, but they haven't put in any work from where they are, And what I mean is, I'm all for jumping in and swimming with the sharks. That's my life. I don't test the water to see if it's cold. I dive in and adjust to the water. But I'm a confident person. So a lot of people don't want to put in the work. Please put in the work. Study, study, study. If you ain't got the funds to go to a class, get online, read, learn as much as you can about the craft so you can be prepared. And that's the only difference. Most people walk in the room, you can walk in the room with Denzel Washington, who did 1,000 movies, and beat them out for a role if you fit the role and you got the confidence. They're like, I don't know. Forrest Whitaker had an audition for, what was the movie he played? Idi Amin. King of Scotland. This Forrest Whitaker. They said, we're going to need you to audition. Like, audition? He said he had to build his confidence back up because he had auditioned in 20 years. Like, they really want to audition. Because he's such a nice guy in real life, they didn't think he could be mean. So he was like, oh. So he had to build his confidence back up. And he said what it also did to him mentally was, that mean I ain't got the role.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That mean there's other people that they're auditioning. So he said it questioned my confidence level after 20 years in. So he was like, okay, let me do this. Put my game face back on, go back in, and get back ready. And that's what I suggest to any actor. Study, 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 study. Practice, 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 because it builds your confidence up. So when you step in there, even if you're not as skilled as everybody else, you still can do enough to pique somebody's interest.
That's true. And just piggybacking about being ready, stay ready.
That way you ain't got nothing.
Get ready. Right. But part of being ready is and I'm just kind of switching hats a little bit, is knowing the difference between being a stage actor, know the role that you're going for, know your audience. There's a difference between being a stage actor and an actor for camera.
Absolutely.
Okay? A stage actor, and that needs to be a part of your studying. Film directors love stage actors because they know they're going to be a one-take Jake. They have learned to get on stage and hit it the first time because you don't have another opportunity when you're on stage. So we know when they prepare for their roles, they're going to kill it, or at least give me enough that I can mold, right? Because they're going to come prepared. Because in film and in TV, you get multiple takes until you get it right? But what tends to happen with stage actors, even in my own experience, a stage actor is very big because you have to fill up that stage real estate. But if you come with all that, and I have a camera, a lens that size, and you're doing all this on my camera, I'm like, hey, whoa, dial it back, what are you doing, right? So you need to know how to shift, and it is a wonderful thing. They are now starting to teach classes on acting for camera versus acting for stage, right? Because you need to know how to emote with a look, a lift of an eyebrow. You need to know how to convey with a facial expression for a camera. Whereas on stage, you need to be big so they can see what you're doing. But for a camera, you give all this, you look like a ham. You know, your performance is completely, totally differently interpreted when you go too big on camera. So know the role that you're going for, and although you've created a character, you need to know whether that character is for the stage, okay, or for the screen. Right there, you need, if for instance we're using Viola Davis as a, yes, she snots and she cries and everything, but sometimes it's just a look.
Yeah.
For camera, and you have to be able to convey that whole emotion with a small movement. But on stage, you have to make that thing bigger, so you have to know how to transition as well.
Absolutely.
Let me talk from a realistic point of view. The market of New York, when you're thinking of as an actor or actress, and you say, hey, I want to make it big, you look at 2 to 3 markets, let's say 2, LA, you look at New York. Realistically, okay, it's not that you can't do it. I'm going off what Gill said. I'm just going to take it just a little further. It's one thing you have to be ready, but you have to understand the market, okay? You were from Largo, Maryland. It's on your resume. Who were you going up against when you were in these markets, whether it's stage or film or whatever the case would be? The markets of themselves are different, and they take stuff differently, and there are niches and cliques that you have to get through, okay? Saying no or turning you down is nothing. You go for an audition here, you may sit with 5 people or 10. You go for an audition in New York, there's a couple of things you have to do before you even get to the audition, okay? Understand. So I tell people all the time, I've had actors under me who have moved to LA. A couple have made it, few have not. Moved to New York, few have not. But they come and they say, hey, what do you think? I've had a guy, his daughter, she's in Duke Ellington, and now she's going, and she has it, but make sure that your resume is of such, because realistically speaking, you have to understand what the pool that you're getting ready to go in, and so there ain't no floaters here. It's not training wheels, okay? You're gonna get that, and not to down our market, but it's different, okay? When you step into these markets and the limelight, okay, you have to be ready, right? The money is there, the titling is good, and just you made it big. But you might have to play a gay man and you don't want to, okay, to do that, or to get there. You might have to get way out of the box. You might have to file some papers for a while before you get there. Because out there is a shark beat world. So realistically, if you are not if your foundation, you're not ready to step, don't do it. I tell people all the time, I ain't killing no dreams. Don't do it. Because when you get out there, ain't no mommy and daddy to do so and hold you. These cats out there are thorough. Gill will give you a second chance. Ms. Nelson will give you a second chance. We will give you the will. It don't work that way. So be prepared.
I would suggest, above all else, take an audition class, like how to properly audition for what you're auditioning for. A lot of actors just know, even if you're looking at kids, oh, I want to be on Disney Channel, I'm gonna just go. There's a whole, probably a 6-week course on just audition methods, on how to audition for what you think. You want to be on Disney Channel, okay, you're auditioning for film, this is how you need to audition. Okay, you're on Broadway, okay, this is how you audition how you audition speaks to your confidence. You can't walk in there head touching the floor or whatever, think you about to get